What is up everybody and welcome back to another Among Us video. And in this video, I'm gonna be solving the mystery behind Mr. Cheese, because I wanna know what happened to him. In my last encounter, his body was completely melted, which is something that I've never seen before, especially on a crewmate. But Mr. Cheese wasn't the only victim. We also had Captain, Player, and Gentleman, which I have encountered in the past, in case you want to check those videos out. So our mission in this video is to find out what happened to Mr. Cheese, and the answer will shock all of you, so you won't want to miss this. And before we get any further into this video, if you want to see daily Among Us stories, make sure that you hit that red subscribe button with the bell icon turned on. And if you want to save Mr. Cheese, make sure to drop a like down below. But now, let's begin with this story video. So I wanted to figure out what was wrong with Mr. Cheese and why he was melted. I tried to join his lobby and he banned me, but since I couldn't find him, I just joined another lobby, hoping that maybe Mr. Cheese will join, but I think that's very unlikely. We were waiting for more players to join, and we started with 6, which is a low amount. For some reason, nobody wanted to play. When we finally got in, I spawned in the brig and I wanted to do some tasks. Since I do enjoy picking up the towels, it reminds me of basketball. I now had to pick up the last towel, and when I entered the room, I found a dead body. I just saw someone a second ago. Who was it? I looked around records in the gap room and that's when I found White. Pretty sure he was the one that did it. So I reported Purple's body and I told the crewmates that it's White. He ran away from body and the body was in the corner of showers. And he was right there and he ran away. White was then ejected and we won. But Mr. Cheese is nowhere to be seen. I was now in a brand new lobby and something strange was happening. There was another player that was green, but his visor looked a little different. I even tried to get a closer look, and it was definitely different. His outline was also a lot darker, and he was changing his hats and I was expecting for the color to change, but it was just like that. You shouldn't be able to use green, because I'm green. It even showed on the crewmate screen, and there was a clear difference. I spawned in records and I found the player in the main hall, so I just followed him. And I'm pretty sure he was busy doing tasks, so I did a task as well. But I was just waiting for his color to go back to normal, which it wasn't. I don't even think he notices as well, because he's just doing his task. I'm not gonna waste any time, I'm gonna do another one. And then a body was reported. I then looked at the player and he was now gold, and his visor was cyan. How is this even possible? When I spawned in the main hall, I wanted to look for this player again. So I entered electrical, but since I couldn't find him in there, I just did a task. A sabotage was called, but I just ignored it. But then a body was reported, and the player was the same as before. He was gold and his visor was cyan. They were saying that Red was the imposter, so I voted for him. But I just can't stop looking at this player. I don't know, his color reminds me of cheese. Maybe cheddar? I don't know, maybe I'm just hungry. I went back to the main hall to finish a task. And I went back into electrical as well. I wasn't gonna do the task because it takes a long time. I'll save it for later. I did my upload outside, and then I entered the kitchen to clean out the vent, but then I heard a strange noise. It was coming from the vent, and that's the noise that you usually hear when there's an imposter that can be found inside. But he didn't come out when he should've. I tried to ignore what I just witnessed, and I tried to do a task, but then when I entered the armory, I saw Green's body. For a fraction of a second, the body was reported and yeah, it did show green, and it was a player that was the color of cheese. The crewmates were saying that it was pink, and I was just distracted telling them about the noise that I heard in the vent, so I went with pink, and he wasn't the imposter. Wait a second, Banana and Yellow blamed him. How could two players make the same mistake? They're the imposters. So when I got back into the game, I had one mission. I'm gonna get these two players out of here. They did my friend dirty. And as I expected, the lights turned off. And that's when my game froze. And right in front of me was Mr. Cheese. And he was melted. Just like before, he then disappeared when the lights turned on, and I called a meeting. So we all voted for Banana after what happened, and they were ejected, and we won. When I was back in the lobby, I was surprised. There was now 4 greens, including myself. These greens also had a different visor, just like the first one. And when I opened the chat, they were the color of cheese. When we got into the game, it didn't fix the issue, because I saw the other 3 greens. I found 2 of them in engine, and that's when the lights turned off. I saw the crewmates run right past me, and that's when I saw Mr. Cheese. But he was a creature. He then disappeared because a body was reported. And the only thing that I could see were the 3 players that were the color of cheese, just like Mr. Cheese. Does he have something to do with all of this? Could these be his minions? I really don't want to find out. I spawned back in and the lights were off, which didn't take long. So I continued to move across the map, and I wanted to check vitals, and that's when I found one of the players that were the same color as me dead. I then closed vitals, and I saw Mr. Cheese, but he disappeared as soon as the lights went back on. I don't know what he wants from me, so I left the area and I entered the main hall, and that's where I found a dead body inside of the dark room that was green. But then the player's body wasn't green, it was the color of cheese, this goldish color. This player has 2 colors, how is that possible? The last player I saw near the body was Yeet, so I blamed him, but nobody voted for him, so no one was ejected. I now had to worry about the imposter, since they know that I'm after them. The only thing that I could do now was just do my task, and finish as soon as possible. But it was really hard because Yeet was following me, and I'm pretty sure he wants to get rid of me. But that's when I found Red, an electrical, and he was climbing up the ladders but he couldn't. Another green was dead. It was now 2 down. Banana was then ejected, and I made my way back into the gap room to complete my task in the meeting room. I then found Red on the ladders, and he was stuck. And I was literally walking on top of him, and he went up the ladders without having to use his arms. I could also stand in front of him, and it looked like he was grabbing me. He was just stuck there. He then randomly walked off the ladders, and he was now gone. I had no idea what was going on, but we got another player ejected. I then decided to go back to the meeting room to see if I could find Red, and I was trying to do a task that I already did. The game was broken. I then decided to leave the meeting room, and the lights turned off, so I went back into the gap room to get on the platform, and that's when my screen began to glitch, and Mr. Cheese appeared! This time he was huge! Mr. Cheese then threw cheese at me, which burned my player, and No Visor was right behind him, controlling his body. If you did enjoy this story video, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and drop a like down below, and check out these other stories.